Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Wrestling Experience. I am your humble host, Cody Davis, and we are live as always in the SWX headquarters here in beautiful Denham Springs, Louisiana. We are going to cover tonight arguably the best documentary that the WWE Network has ever aired. It is a five-part documentary. The network has been around for, I think, February 2014, about almost 6.5 years. This is one of their. This is them at their finest. The Undertaker, The Last Ride. This is Chapter 2 out of a five-part trilogy they are doing. Chapter 2, The Redemption. It's about. It basically starts WrestleMania 33 weekend, and I guess going up until most recent, I guess WrestleMania 36, up until today. So this one is basically it's starting where it ended, the first episode. Didn't do a review for that one, but I'm going to start right here. Chapter 2, The Redemption of the Dead Man, The Undertaker, Mark Calloway. It opens up at WrestleMania 33 in the main event in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. Main event time, Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. I was there alongside the Diva guy, Ryan Kennedy. As always, you can follow Ryan at Mr. Kennedy 504 on Twitter. We were there. We were second to last row in one of the upper sections. They were good seats for us. We had a great time. Orlando is a great place, especially to host a big event like WrestleMania. He said that was one of his worst matches he's ever had. He was hurt. He needed the hip, I guess, surgery, the replacement, the maneuvering of the hip. Couldn't go. He wasn't himself. And he had said that at the Royal Rumble, he basically, that was in episode 1, basically said, like, what am I doing in here? I can't do it. And he knew that this was going to be his last match, and that's why he got cameras involved, basically following him around. So he's at his house over in Austin, Texas. He's watching with his beautiful wife, Michelle McCool, former WWE diva, former wrestler. And I think she won the Divas title 1 or 2 times. I know she had a pretty good run around 2009 or 10. Of course, her work with Late Cool as well with Layla. He's watching it with her. He said that they should have just played the credits and called it a day. Right when as he's like coming up, he's watching it. He said he struggled to get through it, and he felt bad for Roman Reigns, and to this day it still bothers him. And it wasn't his best showing. And being there live, it just didn't feel right, I guess. And plus, it was already like, I remember there were like kickouts at like 12:08 Central, like Tombstone, 1-2 kick out, another move kick out. We're like, come on now. It wasn't exactly the main event of the night because Undertaker just couldn't go. He said he didn't know where he was supposed to be, and they were showing different clips of him just kind of there. And then Roman Reigns does his finish, and they end it. And he's basically talking about the disappointment, the pain in his leg as he's walking back to the ring, as he's walking out of the 80-yard entranceway, the ramp for WrestleMania 33 down in Orlando. A beautiful setup. The catchphrase was, what was it? The Ultimate Thrill Ride. There you go. And it was like a roller coaster. If you go back and watch it, you know what I'm talking about. It looked really cool in person. And he just wanted to get to the back. He wanted that thing to go. He was at the halfway point, and he just went there, and then he like rose to the ground. And we thought that was going to be the last we saw of him. And basically, at the end of the match, he folds up his gear and everything, and he puts the hat on. And I remember we saw, we're in the Uber on the ride back to the hotel in Orlando, and I remember seeing a tweet. They were tearing down the ring, and the guys tearing down the ring, which are like some of the wrestlers, referees, maintenance, whatnot, they kept that in the ring as like a symbol for The Undertaker, which is very telling. And he said that there was nothing more real than what I did, because he thought that was the end. They interview tons of guys throughout this. Shane McMahon's one of them. He said he had a tear in his eye, and his son was like, "You okay?" He's like, "Yeah." Just such a reverent moment, such a moment in history, like a "where were you" kind of thing. And his wife, Michelle McCool, said that she thought that he was done. And the Undertaker broke character like one of the first times ever on TV, and gave her a kiss because she was sitting front row ringside. And she thought that that kiss basically meant it was 100% real. That was his last match. And so, I mean, I didn't think it. I did not think it for 1 second at all. A lot of people did. Um, they show Roman Reigns backstage. He's sitting there, like, with his hands in his head. He just main evented WrestleMania, got the big payday, beat the Undertaker in the main event of the biggest show in the Super Bowl of wrestling, and he's upset. He said he was heartbroken. It almost made him want to cry. He said it's still hard to fathom, and to this day. Undertaker said he did his best at what his physical condition was at that time back in 2017. They interviewed the genetic jackhammer, the chairman of the board, the CEO of the World Bodybuilding Federation, the creator of IcoPro, Vince McMahon. He says that he knew that he didn't have it. He could just tell, because him and Undertaker are really good friends. But as always, he cares about the human first and then the character. He's more worried about the Undertaker, Mark Calloway as a person before, of course, the Undertaker. Undertaker said he was, I guess, backstage after the match. Said he wants to just enjoy life and just chase his kids around. He wants to, instead of being on the road all the time, he wants to just live a normal life, and who can blame him? Let's take it to New York City a month later. That's where he had his hip surgery. He said he does not want to be a parody, and he doesn't want people seeing him when he's not at his best, and that makes a lot of sense. It shows him going into the hip operation room. It says like authorized staff, so they cut it off right there. He's going into his surgery, and they're asking him about like past surgeries. He says he said he's had a lot of surgeries, but my career would not be what it is. He said he had about 15 surgeries, which is like 14 more than I've had. I fractured my skull in 1998. I missed about a month and a half of school in 6th grade. That was I don't remember hardly anything that happened. It's how he doesn't remember the match against Brock Lesnar. I know where he's coming from. They show him about to like go under, and I guess they gave him his happy medicine. They play his theme, I guess, in the operating room, and he's like smiling. He said he heard his theme, then he just I don't know why they played his theme right before the surgery, but hey, whatever. He dozes off. He wakes up. He's on crutches. He said he was pain free, and they show him like walking up some steps, getting ready. He said he felt good. He felt great. He said that he hadn't felt this good in a while. He said it's nice to actually walk without hardly any pain. He said it's been about 10 years since he felt nothing but pain in his hip. Michelle McCool, his wife, says that this is a blessing and also a curse because she knows that once WrestleMania season's coming, he's going to get back in. That's just the itch that each athlete has. And, you basically never say never. They go back to Austin, Texas, back home. He just says walking around pain-free is huge. Like I said, it's his first time in about 10 years. He hadn't had any pain. Shows a clip of him at a Harlem Globetrotters game. Like he's doing stuff around the community. I guess he's starting to display himself more as a person instead of just walking around as the dead man all the time. Then they start talking about his marriage with Michelle, and this is where he gets kind of, you start to like get to know the guy himself, and he seems like a hell of a guy. He said that Michelle shows him that what's important in life, because he said at one point he just forgot, maybe was making wrong decisions, and he said without her he didn't know where he'd be. And she says that he is very playful and romantic. I can imagine a very romantic Undertaker and Michelle McCool. That'd be pretty fun to see. Undertaker is pretty romantic, because I remember he was hitting up Jenna Jameson back in the day during her, I think he saw her at a bar, and he goes up to her and he's like trying to like take her home. I mean, this is the Undertaker trying to take home one of the biggest porn stars in the history of that industry. Hey, Undertaker does what he wants. Let's see. He said the first thing he noticed about her, he said that she could throw a football. They were throwing a football in the arena, and she like throws a football like 35 yards, like full spiral. He said that's whenever he like just fell in love and started like hitting on her, trying to schmooze her, I guess backstage. He said that two things he noticed. He said that she had like a want to be great and like her work ethic, and he was very attracted to that. 3 months later, back in Brooklyn, it was SummerSlam. It shows him walk. I guess he's walking out of the hotel to go to the arena, and like I've been to hotels. I've been behind arenas maybe to try to meet people. You meet them, you kindly ask them for a photo. Hey, how you doing? Some might say no, some might most say yes if you're nice. Don't be a jerk. Uh, I've never been to the airports, but I've been to the hotels and well in New Orleans and yeah, that only in New Orleans. But yeah, just be nice. But they're showing them walk out of the hotel, and there's people just trying to take selfies with them, and it's just Taker's not showing any facial expressions, which that's him. And Michelle, his wife's walking right by, and she's like, "Excuse us," and they're trying to get into their getaway car, I guess, to go to the arena. It's weird. This one guy didn't get a picture. He was like trying to get it, and he like you could tell he was pissed. Good for him. It's weird. Ask him, and if they say no, don't worry about it. Um, I think Michelle asked, "What's Vince really like?" A lot of people ask Undertaker that, and he's basically his answer is what you see on TV, and it's amped up. He's got all the respect in the world for Vince McMahon. He said that's like his second father. He the two most influential people in his life, Undertaker says, is his dad and Vince McMahon. He named his son Gunnar Vincent. The middle name of his kid is Vince. Um, WrestleMania 9, they show what are we doing here? They're showing clips of wrestling. I'm sorry, I'm just reading the notes. They're showing like backstage stuff. WrestleMania 9. That's when Undertaker came out with the big crow. That was the WrestleMania in Vegas in Caesar's Palace. Everyone's wearing togas. Todd Pettingill's wearing a backwards hat and wearing a toga. Jim Ross made his debut in the WWF wearing a toga. So, greatest wrestling announcer of all time, but his first night wasn't exactly his best night. They interviewed Batista, Big Show, Bret Hart, Shane McMahon, Kane. Shows Vince again. And Batista was just saying how he was always on Vince's side, like they're friends or buddies. And Kane, his brother on TV, uh, they're saying how loyal. That's why Vince loves the Undertaker so much because he was loyal. He didn't go to WCW with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, etc. Tons of guys. Lex Luger. He said he wasn't leaving for WCW. Like there was no chance. And Vince is loyal to those that are loyal to him. And he even shows Vince McMahon in a coffin. I guess he was like just seeing what it was like to lay in a coffin. I guess for a coffin match, whatnot. Pretty cool. It shows a clip from the commercial that not really the commercial, but like the opening to Monday Night Raw back in I think 93, 94. Maybe a little bit later after that too, where they're on top of Titan Towers and they're doing a just like a commercial of them like with exploding stuff, and it's like a backstage picture of that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Um, it goes back to Undertaker saying how Vince McMahon makes him a better man in general, whether it's in the ring, out the ring. Undertaker thinks the world of Vince. Probably one of the better clips of this documentary that aired this morning. Uh, they ask Vince McMahon. They say, you know, what are you going to remember the Undertaker for, and like what is his legacy? What has he meant to you and your family and the company in general? And as the question's being asked, he's like fighting back tears, and he does like a throat slash, and he says, I can't do it. He just, I mean, it's Vince McMahon. He's the ultimate alpha male. He does not want to be seen crying on camera. You know, he probably gave the answer to the guy or the producer doing the interview, but people like me that are watching it on the network couldn't see it. They eventually go to Vince McMahon's office. They're talking about, I guess this was before SummerSlam that weekend over in Stamford, Connecticut at the headquarters. And it shows Undertaker and Michelle basically waiting for Vince. He was a little bit late to a meeting like he always is. He was working out. He was working out downstairs in the infamous WWF gym downstairs. That's where they did all the Ico Pro commercials back then. And they did the 1999 Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon workout vignette whenever Vince was preparing for the 1999 Royal Rumble. Doing the leg presses and I hate Austin! I hate Austin! Yeah, that's the gym. That's the gym. Shows him wearing like a orange V-neck, which is like rare because you never see Vince outside of like wearing a suit. And he kicks out the people. They don't want everything to be seen. And he basically tells Vince, he says, hey, if anyone gets hurt, I'll be ready to go for WrestleMania 34. And, he's saying that Vince was kind of talking him into it. He's like, you can do this forever, if you want to. He's basically saying how Vince can just sell ice to an Eskimo. He can sell paper to a freaking paper boy. He can do... There's nothing that gets past Vince McMahon. He can do whatever he wants. Let's see. 4 months later, at the Royal Rumble, and I believe it was in Boston. I think so. It shows him backstage. It shows there's Kurt Angle. They have a little moment. Ric Flair, hanging out backstage with Ric Flair. It shows Vince's office. He's like waiting for Vince to go talk to him. And it's showing him, I guess, watching the event in Vince's office. And it's pretty cool to see or to hear what he said then, knowing what happened a little over a month ago at WrestleMania 36. He's watching, I guess it was AJ Styles had a match, and he says, I would love to work with AJ. He gets it. He gets it. And, lo and behold, 2 years later, he gets to work with AJ Styles. I thought that was pretty cool. Shows him and Seth Rollins backstage. And basically, they're waiting for the Women's Royal Rumble. I'm sure he was wanting to watch Becky Lynch because they are now together. And congrats to Becky Lynch on becoming a mother down the road. I wish them the best. She announced that on Raw on Monday. And, Undertaker's watching Michelle in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. After the Rumble, Vince McMahon talks to him. He said he wants to have a match with John Cena at WrestleMania 34. Goes back to his house. He says, basically, they're going back to watch WrestleMania 33, and he said that it was one match too many. He just didn't know if he still had it, but he wanted to give it a go because he felt better with his hip. Then they order a ring. They find an old jet ski rental place out in Austin, Texas. This old rinky-dink storage unit, huge storage unit. WWE sends him a ring, and so they're dealing with all that. They're getting the building ready. They said it was disgusting. They said it was gross. They finally get the ring set up. It shows him running the ropes, and he looks into the camera. He says, "What am I doing? I thought I officially retired." He told Michelle to record him running the ropes. He's running the ropes. He looks pretty good. And I guess once he knew that he could give it another go for an actual match at WrestleMania against John Cena in New Orleans, Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Of course we were there. I was there with the diva guy, Ryan Kennedy. As always, Ryan Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy 504 on Twitter. He quotes, I believe this is an Alan Jackson song. He says, I ain't as good as I once was, and I was good once as I never was. And he says, see you in New Orleans. And he does the eye-rolling thing with his tongue out. And he sends it to Vince. And he said he sent it to him during the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which I believe was like in late February. And it was a pay-per-view before WrestleMania. Since it to Vince, Vince responds like cussing him out, like you MFer, like why you make me sweat, whatever. I mean, he knew it would draw. He knew it would draw, so that's what they wanted. It's take you 4 weeks before WrestleMania. He claims he was at 315 pounds, which is probably the heaviest he had been in quite some time. He said he had to work on his cardio because he hadn't been working out that much. He was working out basically just to do it, not in preparation for anything, just maybe stay in shape, I guess. Shows him boxing in the ring with his trainer. He says once your cardio goes, you lose the ability to make things happen as far as like in the ring. And then like you start, once you lose that first step or like you're breathing too hard, you can't do anything. Especially, they say, ring shape is much different than like just shape in general. He's got these posters of like he's got this big Bible verse. I think Psalms 144:1. I can't tell you the verse. It's got like some pay-per-view posters. It looks kind of like the FCW arena years ago. Had like all the posters. He's got like 2 or 3. He's got this huge banner from the Royal Rumble 2001, where that's one of the greatest pay-per-views ever, which was in New Orleans. You better believe I was at that one too. 13 years old, our parents dropped us off at the Smoothie King Center, which used to be the New Orleans Arena. My mom and my other 2 friends' moms, they went to go gamble at Harrah's Casino, and they let us be teenagers and go enjoy the event. It was a really good time. But the poster has a bunch of people on it, like little cartoons, and he says that he wants to think that they're like looking at him, like watching him, saying like, "Come on, you old son of a bitch, you don't have it anymore." He uses it as like a motivation factor. Thought that was pretty cool. Shows him working out some more with his trainer, and he makes a comment that they spray painted "boom" on the wall, and he said that "boom" means hell. They call it Harry's Hotel of Hell. That's what they call the gym. He said, "No one feels sorry for me, and neither should I. I should not have been in the ring last year." He's motivated as hell. This show is damn good. It shows the John Cena clip from a Monday Night Raw in the build-up to WrestleMania, basically calling Undertaker out. He tells the crowd, he asks him, who wants to see the Undertaker kick John Cena's ass? Everyone's cheering, doing the yes chants. Let's take you 2 weeks before WrestleMania. He's working out again. They had to tarp the ring because of the roof. It was storming. Good thing they did. It would have ruined it. They brought Primo Cologne. I'm not sure if he's on the main roster right now, but he's, him and Carlito have been in tag teams. He's a big-time veteran in the wrestling industry. Primo, hell of a worker. Brings him in to work out. Could you imagine an Undertaker and Primo match at WrestleMania or like a SummerSlam? That'd sell out anywhere in the world. You better believe it. Shows them working out. He said he needs redemption. He has too much to prove. And I'm guessing Undertaker and Primo are just good friends. He probably lives in that area. It was good seeing that, him working out with him. He said that, he's cut some weight. He said it's fun seeing the work pay off. The night before WrestleMania 34, I was at the Ring of Honor show. And probably the biggest main event of that weekend was the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, versus the cleaner himself, Kenny Omega, in the UNO Lakefront Arena. That dump of an arena, but it's great for a wrestling event because it's a little bit smaller. Had a really good time at that. It shows him flying in on the jet, or like a private jet, and like they're keeping everything secret, I guess. He said it's finally starting to set in. This is the best version of myself since WrestleMania 25. His first match with Shawn Michaels in Houston. What do you know? I was there too. He said he's in game mode. He said it's for the fans, and a lot of it is for myself. Shows a clip of Edge, Adam Copeland, the Rated R Superstar, his opponent in the main event at WrestleMania 24, actually, who was probably supposed to end the streak, but he said no. He said he's not doing it. Goes back to the Vengeance pay-per-view, July 27th, 2003. This is the Doctor of Thugonomics, John Cena, versus, I believe this was the the American Badass Undertaker, and Undertaker beats a young John Cena, and he delivers a huge choke slam. I mean, he got John Cena up like 8-9 feet in the air. It was pretty remarkable to see. They interview the host of Something to Wrestle With, Bruce Pritchard, who him and Undertaker are very good friends because they're both Texans and they've been friends for 30 plus years. He said he looked like the old Undertaker and he just knew how much he had to prove, and he couldn't wait to see what he would do in New Orleans at WrestleMania. Let's take you to the day of WrestleMania. WrestleMania Sunday, game day, my favorite day of the year. Cannot wait till Los Angeles next year. I cannot freaking wait. They're Mark Carano and whoever else. They're basically they cover this whole golf cart where they can't see who is in it. You know, it's a secret. Obviously, if they're covering it up, they know it's someone important. They have an overview. I guess it was right whenever the gates opened up, and like all the fans are like kind of ringside because John Cena went into this as a fan. You know, he said, if I can't face The Undertaker at WrestleMania, I'm going to go as a fan. So he's sitting like 4th or 5th row throughout the show. Shows him drinking a beer at one point during the show. But shows all the fans like getting pictures with him and stuff. And like, it would have probably been pretty cool to be sitting. I wasn't sitting in that area. We had good seats, but I wasn't in that area. Yeah, and I didn't get there that early either. We were doing the Mania Crawl. Shout out to Mania Crawl and Jamie and Rick Martel guy, Martin, and all my friends with Mania Crawl. You know exactly who you are. It shows him basically warming up before the match. He's on this rowing machine. He is rowing his ass off on this machine, just trying to get ready. And he basically just says, like, I can walk away if I know I did what I did. You know, if he can do what he thinks he can in his last match, then he would be satisfied. Then they kick out the camera crew right before he's getting ready. Out walks Elias. Elias comes out, and this was Elias at arguably his peak. WWE Walk with Elias. That got over huge. And it still kind of is, but I don't know what happened. Elias comes out. He's trying to do his thing. Because when I was there, I laugh because like I take it for what it is. You hear the guitar. He says, "You thought it was gonna be someone else," and I'm just like laughing. People are booing all around us. And Cena's pissed. Cena comes out. He takes out Elias, says the attitude adjustment, and he realizes that he's not gonna get his match with the Undertaker. So he's walking up the ramp, all dramatic. Lights go out. Crowd erupts. You hear the dong, dong, and I remember just being a fan, you get caught up in the moment, and I start, just, yes, he's coming. And, Undertaker rises from the thing, and you get the classic Michael Cole line, "The dead man has risen at WrestleMania!" And he comes down the ramp, it takes him forever, but it's just such a cool moment. Like, got goosebumps thinking about it right now. Match starts. He looks damn good. He basically does all his spots. He does old school choke slams, the flying clothesline. And then after the match, he says that he didn't have to think about it. He just went out there and just did it. It wasn't like getting up and wincing in pain. He did it. He felt great, he said. And then shows him backstage with Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns, if you don't remember, was main eventing WrestleMania 34 against Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. And it was finally his time after a year to tell Roman like he felt bad. He was apologetic. He didn't have it that night, and I'm sorry. And Roman's like, nah, man, which understandably so. Shows a clip with the Big Show backstage at WrestleMania 34 after his match. He said, "It's not what I trained for. We don't sell time, we sell entertainment." He said, "I trained for 45 days," and he said he wrestled 5 minutes. But, all the hard work he put in, and, he didn't do like a 25-minute, Broadway, some long match like he did at WrestleMania 25 against Shawn Michaels. That's not what he needed to do. You don't want to see that long of a match, with The Undertaker, I guess, anymore. It's not needed. 10 minutes to 15, perfect. He said he had a lot more in the tank that night. You could tell because he's looking at the crowd and all that stuff, and we're all bowing, thank you Taker and stuff. He could have went 15, 20 minutes in that match, undoubtedly, not even a question. And of course, he didn't have a match at WrestleMania 35. He came out the night after and chokeslammed Elias, which was cool because we didn't think Undertaker was going to show up at Raw. Of course, I was there for that one. We're in Brooklyn, the Barclays Center. Had a good time at that one. And he had his match at WrestleMania 36 with AJ Styles in that cinematic match, the Boneyard match, because they can't really say coffin anymore. So it was a Boneyard match, and it was basically, it was filmed, but it showcased Undertaker and AJ Styles as two of the best in the wrestling business. And the show ends and gives us a little preview of Chapter 3 of The Last Ride. I forgot the name of the what they're calling this episode, but it goes back and shows Crown Jewel, the pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia, which not a fan of. The match, the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker taking on D-Generation X, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels said he'd never come back to the ring, never have another match, and he did. It was a forgettable one, and we'll talk about that next week. But that's going to do it here for the review of Chapter 2, The Redemption, The Undertaker's Last Ride, the greatest thing the WWE Network has produced in its 6-year history so far. I'm really enjoying this and, getting a peek behind the curtain as to the man Mark Calloway is, because no one's really seen it. He has been close to the vest his whole career, and he's finally opening up. Well, don't open up too much, but let's have a little peek, inside the life and the personal life of the dead man. Like I said, that's going to do it here for this show, Sports and Wrestling Experience. Please follow the social media channels, Instagram and Twitter, at SWX Podcast. That's SWX Podcast. Be a part of the experience. Join the experience. Experience with an X, SWX Nation. And also this YouTube channel, the Sports and Wrestling Experience. Got a few comments earlier today saying that they like my content. And hey, one day at a time, one follower at a time, and we're going to make this work. I hope y'all are liking the content I am putting out, because a lot of hours are going into this, and I want to just continue doing it. And for Cody Davis, Sports and Wrestling Experience, I'm signing off. Have a wonderful night.